The first question, the movie has been described as an action comedy that puts a twist on the classic hits formula. How did you approach subverting the usual rules of his genre when directing the pickup?
Uh, you know, action comedies are kind of something that I've always studied growing up and learning about movies. They're some of my favorite films. And so I just wanted to kind of, because the formula, I felt like the formula is kind of in my DNA. I just wanted to be sure I kind of respected the genre or the genres and combine them appropriately. And I think, when you have an icon like Eddie Murphy, you put him in the situation of car chases and car crashes. I think it makes for just a great entertainment.
The pickup brings together two generations of comedy, old school experience with Eddie Murphy and new school energy with Pete Davidson. What is like working with that mix of style on the screen? And did you have to adjust your directing style to match their different ways of doing comedy?
No, what's great about this situation is I kind of grew up watching Eddie, so I kind of felt I knew what would make him, what I could do to help him be the best he can be in this film, and I think we were able to achieve that together. It was great to sit down and talk to him about what he needed, and then because I was a fan of his and because I'm able to kind of pull from his history, I think we just found a way to kind of communicate those moments together on screen. And then of course you add Pete, and you kind of know that Pete, because of it almost feels like a kind of an opposite to Eddie. It was kind of easy to kind of just set it up and let them kind of play on screen together. I think the audiences will be excited about what they're going to see with these two.
Is movies made for streaming? In this case, for Prime Video, does knowing people will watch it at home on different screens change the way you direct in terms of pacing, framing, or staging?
I guess the change that I've kind of taken on when it comes to streaming is just sometimes getting into the story sooner, because sometimes people don't like to take as much time to sit and wait for something to happen. So, but at the same time, I think with the movies that I've grown up looking at, you do find that even in the first 10 minutes, you always have to have something that catches your audience. And I think this, so my challenges haven't been as extreme as I thought they would be. I think the formula for streaming as opposed to film are kind of still the same, but you just have to get into it a little sooner than you normally might.
Your work in many genres, you run comedy with barbershop, action with Ride Along, even horror satire with the blackening, returning to power action comedy with the pickup. Did it feel like going back to something familiar, or did you try a new approach in this movie?
Oh, great question. I think I tried to set up some of even though I knew I was going to be dealing with something a little familiar to me, I tried to create the situations, the action, anytime I got into a sequence that I felt like was a little bit the same, that I would purposely try to make it different than what I've done before. And I think by doing that, I think we found a kind of a tone that, although it's familiar for me and maybe people that have watched my movies, it still gives you some plot twists. And obviously by using actors that I've never worked with before, I think, whatever you might consider my voice coming through, their performances works and although familiar, makes for a new experience.
Okay, the last question. The cast of the pickup is quite diverse, different origins. You have veteran comedians, an NFL star like Marshall Lynch, and WWE star like Roman Reigns, an actor like Eva Longoria, Ismael Cruz Cordova, and Andrew Dice Clay. What is challenging to direct such a variety group with different origins?
Well, I'm a fan of ensemble movies where you have many different characters and obviously many different actors playing those characters. And I think whenever I can find special talent that bring it together, I think the combination of all of them always make for great entertainment. So I just always look for it. It's fun to find people that work together it's not always a given that it'll work, but when you roll the dice and you do it, it makes it's I guess there's a fear in the surprise, but when it works, it's really cool.